Hi, and welcome to the Apprise AEC webinar. My name is Kenny, and I'm going to be the host for this session. Today, we're going to explore how SDKs can improve document processing for organizations in the architecture, engineering, and construction space. Our focus today is going to be on improving collaboration, expediting approvals, and enhancing efficiency with distributed teams. So let's dive in. Your speakers today will be myself on the business side. I've been with Apprise PDF Drawn for several years, and I've helped dozens of clients in the EEC space solve collaboration challenges and onboard with the SDK. Bringing the technical expertise is my colleague and solution engineer, Harry. So on today's agenda, we're going to have a look at some of the document management challenges in the AEC industry. We're going to explain the significance of SDKs in addressing AEC document management, and then we'll present a few ways in which SDKs can improve AEC workflows. Followed up with that, we'll have a Q&A. The main thing I hear when working with clients in this space is pretty clear. Collaboration is absolutely pivotal to every workflow. Due to the distributed nature of AEC projects, I've learned that reliable collaboration on documents is absolutely essential. And this comes in many forms, stuff like blueprints, proposals, contracts, legal agreements, permits, and assessments. Now, the results of having these documents inaccessible across devices and locations can have fairly significant impacts. And what I'm referring to here is stuff like missed deadlines, regulation non-compliance, or miscommunication about critical project decisions. So we'll talk about how we can tackle this. So, how can a document SDK like ourselves help? Within the AEC, there's huge amounts of data and lots of different relevant stakeholders involved in all these projects. These stakeholders vary hugely. It could be an engineer with his iPad out on site, looking to service some type of machine, or it could be a top exec within a firm preparing a business presentation. Now, despite their differing roles, everyone in the process needs a way in which to collaborate. Right now, there's different tools that can support a collaboration process, be that Word, email, specialized engineering software, signing tools, the list goes on. But incorporating all these tools into a different solution breaks up the workflow. Users need to manually transfer data between systems, and that entails a degree of risk. By incorporating a software development kit like ourselves, you can design a solution that supports the entire document workflow, start to finish, without needing to incorporate additional tools. So, next up, we're going to talk a bit about collaboration. The ability to collaborate in documents, as I mentioned, is pivotal in many of these workflows. Real-time collaboration, like we provide with Apprise, allows for multiple users to jump into a document. They can view the document, edit that document, create annotations, collaborate. Multiple stakeholders can be on the same document at the same time. We can help improve accuracy. With synchronized editing and annotation, stakeholders can make real-time updates, provide feedback, and reduce risk of errors on outdated versions. In addition to that, being able to collaborate on the same doc can massively speed up the approval process, resulting in quicker decisions and making sure that the projects are kept on track. So next up, we'll talk about different file formats in the EC space. So Apprise as an organization is built upon providing fast, accurate, and reliable rendering and conversion of documents. These files can vary significantly, especially in the AEC space. Anything from PDF, CAD drawings, BIM, images, and Office. What we can provide is the ability to view, edit, collaborate in seconds across these various formats without having to bounce between solutions. We also have a focus on delivering client-side rendering and processing of these documents to ensure that everything stays directly within your environment. So of course, there's plenty of information to be found on our AEC offering. I'd encourage you to have a look around the website. We've got some cool ebooks, a lot of information, case studies, references, stuff like that. And now I'm actually going to hand over to Harry for a short demo.
Thanks, Kenny. So I will share my screen now. One moment. So Kenny gave a brief introduction earlier in the call about my role in the company. But essentially, I'm in the solution engineering team of Apprise. So the solution engineering team are here to provide you with all the technical help you need to get started. So I come into the business from mechanical engineering. So I support a lot of clients here who are in the AEC space. So this is an industry which we are familiar with and we do work with. So I think at a high level, Kenny describes some use cases around AEC applications. In some ways, our tech can be used to kind of help these workflows. I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into the product itself, and hopefully give you some knowledge that will help you get started. So the first thing I want to do is just show you the Apprise website. So you will see if you go through this, there are actually lots of different products. There's a lot going on. We produce technology that impacts at every level of the document lifecycle. So we're talking things like creating documents. We have tools like WebViewer, which we're talking about today. Fluent, which is works as an integration for Microsoft Word. We also have some other kind of developer tools that can help with that. We have a lot around document manipulation. So that's actually taking a document, maybe getting information out of it or doing something to it. We have things around document usage. So that's more what we're speaking about today with the web viewer. And then we also have tech that supports what we call document finalization processes. So that's maybe doing something to a document before it is archived or it's maybe signed or you add a certificate to it. So we play in every sort of space. And what we offer is software development kits. So what we are talking about today are completely on-premise solutions. So none of this is a software as a service where data is sent to a cloud anywhere. Everything is done on your infrastructure. So on our website, we actually have a showcase. So I'm just going to click onto the showcase link and you'll see this link here, showcase.apprise.com. This is all publicly available to you. So you can, right now, as you watch this video, you can go into the showcase. You should be able to recreate everything I show you. And we also have this website, dev.apprise.com, and this is our developer portal. So if you want to actually download a production build, you can do that. You can obtain a trial key. You do not need to wait until you actually purchase the software itself. The only difference with using the trial key is that there's some watermarking. So if you actually look at the showcase, you'll see that there's some watermark. But aside from that, all the functionalities you need are there to get started. So the viewer itself, so this is the web viewer, which I'm showing you right now. You'll see that, this looks quite like a conventional viewer. It's running within the browser itself. So if I, go into my extensions, you'll see that there's no add-ons there. There's nothing installed. This is really just JavaScript and WebAssembly that lets this run. It's rendering in the browser. It's being compiled in the browser. It's not relying on any additional server side capability. So that's the basics of kind of what the library is. You can see that it's got, this is talk about, it looks like the browser, it feels like a browser. I can scroll through this in, the normal way. I can say jump to pages, I can perform search. So, I can say, hey, search challenge, jump to that part in the text. This functionality is all out of the box and ready to go. So in terms of file support, I'm aware that, we use the term documents a lot, and we do talk about different, support for a broad set of file formats. To be a little bit more specific, there are additional formats to this that we can support for software developer kits, but within WebViewer itself, the kind of main input files are PDF, Microsoft Office, so I can take in like an Excel document, images, so say like a JPEG, and then also DWG files as well. So this is DWG files from AutoCAD, so 2D drawings. And you'll see that as these actually arrive in the viewer, they have all the same functionality. So none of the toolbars have changed. You'll see that the view is exactly the same. So all of these formats are imported into WebViewer and work essentially as if you're modifying a PDF. So you'll see that, beyond the viewing itself, on the left-hand side of this page, we have these capabilities toolbar. There are a lot of different things which we showcase. So to tell you the truth, I could go on for hours and hours, going through each of these features and talking about potential use cases. But what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try and talk about things which have relevance for AEC. So the first one I'd like to showcase is form filling. So really simple case. If you have a document here, so this example is the US tax return form, and it has some sort of fields in it, you can actually load this and say, hey, fill this out. So I can say, first name, Harry Weber. I can then save this. So if I save this document, it can go off platform. I can open this up in another viewer. This information is added. So this form filling is a functionality which we see utilized in AEC. To give you an example, service engineer. It's very common that a service engineer goes out to a site, they might service some hardware, they'll be on an iPad, they might want to, fill out a report on that site visit. And one approach might be that maybe they just send that form data manually. So maybe they fill out fields on a website, hit send, it goes off to a server somewhere, it's a bit buggy. This feature just lets them work off the document format itself. So that's quite a cool thing. You also notice that at the top of the screen here, we have these annotations. So annotations in PDF basically just mean additional markup. So this could be like adding text. So if I'm just going to refresh the showcase, but if I want to just say add text, I can do that with annotations. If I want to maybe highlight things in the text, I can show things I can highlight. It may well be, freehand text. It could be, we have custom annotations as well. You could, have, say, a stamp or something like that. So I could add a custom stamp to this. It could be image-based, it could be text-based. Annotations are essentially a flexible tool for markup in PDF. They are highly customizable, so they exist in XML. So if I go into the showcase, I should be able to show you this XFDF annotations. And essentially, these annotations actually exist within a format called XFDF, which is a standard for PDF. And it's just simple XML, basically. So if you have some use cases where you actually want to take a document, perhaps add some annotations. So perhaps one user adds comments or annotates on top of a document, and maybe you want to take those annotations and store them somewhere else. So maybe it's a use case of actually exporting things to an archive. You can actually do this directly with this XML. So this XML can come out the document, it can be put back in the document. So it's a pretty flexible format that gives you the ability to kind of adapt your workflow around it. Okay, so a functionality of annotations that's specific for engineers can be our measurement tooling. So I've just opened up a showcase example. You will see a floor plan, which is nothing special about this really. It's just an image of a floor plan. There are no hidden elements in this that are enabling me to perform any actions that I'm showing here. It's just simply an image. So I can load this PDF up. I can add a scale to it. So I can set some, metric scale. It doesn't really matter what you input. The scale is flexible. And once I've defined a scale, it's easy for me to use, say, a ruler distance measurement. I can use like an arc measurement, perimeter measurement, area, ellipse, rectangle, and I can just hover over this drawing. I can snap the corners. So if you look very closely, you'll see as I hover my mouse over that I'm actually snapping to these corners automatically. And I can just start, annotating measurements on top of this drawing. So this measurement's added. Automatically a comment is shown as well, with this measurement included. And I can actually add my own feedback to this. So I can say, measurement looks good, approved. This can also sync up to any workflow where perhaps you want to simply just provide some sort of interaction and feedback and comment on a document. It can be used in workflows where perhaps you have some measurements which are calculated by one single user, and maybe you then want those annotations to be automatically added to all users who are using this document. You can export those annotations somewhere, you can import them into the documents. So these measurements tools are pretty much core functionality out of the box. So in addition to the measurement tools, you also see that, I've spoke a little bit about this comment pane. So I just want to talk a bit more about this because these comments are also a type of annotation within PDF. So we have this comments pane. It looks pretty similar to Microsoft Word and the kind of comment review thing you see in Office. And what this actually enables you to do is to basically collaborate on a document and add mentions and triggers. So to give you an example of what this looks like, this is, left of the screen here is instance 1, right of the screen is instance 2. These are two users who are interacting with the same document simultaneously. So if I add, say, on the left here, some text, it's automatically synchronized to the user on the right. So we have this automatic synchronization of documents that works out of the box. It doesn't need any sort of complicated logic implemented. It doesn't blow up if you don't spend time, working on some way to catch these synchronizations manually. It is just the behavior out of the box. So you can interact with this document, the left, the right side, everything's updated automatically. But the really cool thing here is if I add a comment here, so I'm on the left here, so I'm on instance 1. I click on this. My user is defined to be Ruby. I can actually use an @ symbol and say, hey, Cedric, please have a look at this. And automatically I hit save, done. I can change the status here. I can hit this as marked or something like that. This trigger can be used to set off an event. So if you had some use that you wanted to maybe send an email or set a notification in your application, you could actually use our SDK to just listen for that mention, basically. So just listen for a case where, hey, a user has been called. And these annotation states here, they're all custom. So if you want to add more to the list, you can do that. That is all exposed to you. It's just a case of adding, another annotation state and a little logo to a list. But these annotation states as well, they can also link up to trigger. So if I, mark something, that can also trigger some sort of event where it says, email Cedric, and also give some information on how that annotation state has been set. And in the right side of the screen here, I'm not Ruby, I'm actually Cedric, and I can actually see that I've been tagged, and I can actually add my feedback. So I can say, looks good, change the annotation state, so I can accept this, whatever. I can, even if I wanted to, add a file attachment, so I can actually add a file attachment to embed in this. It's all pretty flexible. So that's I guess a use case around collaborative annotations. These, I guess the functionality itself in this is all can all be restricted to users. So this could be important that if you have different stakeholders within the document and you want to assign them different role permissions, you can do that. So perhaps I want to say, so the example here is we say set viewing permissions for Justin. Perhaps I want to, block this user from being able to highlight or add freehand text. You can add whatever set of user groups you want, and you can even change how the UI looks. So to one user, you can take things out of the UI, you can add things. So this could be useful if you have a case where, you have the business user in the office and you don't want them to be able to, maybe their role isn't to add measurements or anything to the drawing. Maybe that's not their input in the process. You could block off the measurement tools to them, and you could enable the measurement tooling to someone who's involved in that side of the process and who has more relevant input. So that user management control is also a pretty powerful feature. We also have comparison, so image overlay. So if I show you image overlay, you'll see here that we actually have an example preloaded in. So image overlay is essentially we take one image, we impose it on top of the other. So we can take one PDF drawing, impose it on top of the other, and we can actually see the changes automatically highlighted. So this is quite useful if you maybe have design evolution. So perhaps in your process, you've had a drawing, it's changed lots of different times. There are lots of different versions of it. And what you want to do is you want to consolidate that and just really, really simply see what specifically changed. You can just drag one PDF in, drag another PDF in, can be DWG, PDF, doesn't matter, and you can quickly see where the changes have actually occurred. So in addition to that, some other brief things of relevance for this use case is digital signing. So we have the ability to actually load in a document and add digital signatures. It could be what we call an e-signature, which is just simply the appearance of a signature. So there's no cryptographic there's no cryptographic element attached to this. It's just the appearance of a signature. Or we can even attach certificates as well. So we do have support for more advanced digital signing. We also have support for PDF-A. So if you're not aware, we have a specialized standard of the PDF format, which is designed for files to be, or documents to be preserved long term. So PDF-A is actually a regulatory standard, and it is a requirement in many jurisdictions. So I've supported many customers within the AEC space who find out that they actually need a requirement for this PDF-A. And they think, how can I actually validate a file's PDF-A? How can I convert it? With our WebViewer SDK, it's just a case of hitting a button. It's just one line of code to convert a PDF document to be PDF-A compliant. I think the last thing I want to touch on is some of our support for 3D file types, because I'm aware that in our presentation we do mention BIM. So what specifically do we mean by that? Well, we actually have this other viewer that we call WebViewer BIM, and this basically allows, I guess, some of the important file types in the kind of BIM 3D space. So the main ones here are IFC files and Revit files, also 3D DWG files, and then the more primitive OBJ and STL formats. And you've likely seen this sort of viewer before. It has the kind of feel of, a conventional 3D viewer. You'll see that the model hierarchy is automatically imported. So similar as you can do in any, I guess, BIM software, you can toggle elements off and on. You can actually, zoom to certain elements. All that functionality worked pretty much out of the box. We've also added some additional tooling for comments as well. So in a similar way to you see in the 2D PDF viewer, we can actually add, annotative states, and we can add feedback, and these annotations as well can also be imported and exported. So I think that's all that I have to present on my end. So I will hand back to Kenny.
Thanks very much, Harry, and thanks everyone for joining today. We'll now take some questions in the chat.